coming up under the picture. All right. All right, well, good evening, everyone. Meeting of the Virginia Train Collectors Association. We're going to get right to the program. Tonight it's Railroad Heritage Units, and our presenter is Bob Euler.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate it. You know, when I talk about heritage units, I'm reminded of Teddy Wells. You know, when Teddy talks about standard gauge, you ever see him up in front of a group, he's excited. He's smiling. He's fired up. That's where I am tonight. I mean, this is my thing. If you come to my house, and you've been there, I got heritage units on the wall. Yes, sir. And so I collect them. So it's a pleasure for me tonight to present these to you. But to begin with, in talking about heritage units, we're going to have to talk about the Class 1 railroads in the United States. First of all, how many are there in the United States now? There's been a change in the past year, so how many are there now in the United States? Who knows?
6, I believe.
Four. Okay. And what are they? Norfolk Southern, CSX,
BNSF, and UP.
Those are the four. We lost Kansas City Southern. They were bought out by CP. So CP now has Canada, U.S., and Mexico, those three countries as part of theirs, and they're based in Canada. So in the United States now we only have 4 lanes, so that's all we have. And the 4 major railroads are the ones that are doing mainly the heritage units, because they're the ones that have merged, consolidated, bought out all their competitors. Don't we know it, Nate? Huh? So that's what's going on. What I'm going to do is cover 3. Tonight I'm going to cover first Norfolk Southern, your favorite company, and second will be CSX, followed by UP. And in here I got 2 videos, and we hope they work. We've tried it. We got them working now, Jay, don't we? My able-bodied assistant over there. And so we got 2 videos I think will make the presentation a little exciting and should be real good. But to begin with, when you think about heritage units, and what you see up there is a paint job, really is what it is. It's a unit that's been painted Virginian. If you would, Jay, switch to the next slide. We start talking about paint schemes, because in the makeup of all the railroads, you know, they do their annual or semi-annual, whenever, maintenance, but they also do painting. They paint the engines. And when they do that on a schedule, they'll do a heritage unit or a paint job like this, United Way, or this one, which is a commemorative one I'll talk about a little bit more later. So when they cycle through for paint, that's when they get the heritage units painted. So if you would then continue. I'm going to show you some more paint schemes. What's going on here? Now, this is Union Pacific, and what Union Pacific did in the past year was change their whole paint scheme, which gets everybody confused. Here's the old paint scheme back here with the flag in front. And see, here's the new paint scheme where they got just the UP symbol in front. And you notice right here, the flag is gone, and a little symbol here, and now the flag's up here. I kind of like the old paint scheme better, but they see this is easier to maintain. That's why they didn't make that change. So they've been doing it for years, now they switched to this. So this is the new paint scheme for UP. Go ahead. Okay. Now, for us Amtrak guys, we go to Ashland, look down on Railroad Avenue, we're going to see this engine come through. Amtrak is even into the program too. When they start painting their engines, they're doing all kinds of paint schemes. We have 50th anniversary one, which is green, and this one here, one of their new, this is a Siemens engine, is it not?
Yes.
One of the new ones they had, they painted that. That's come through Ashland many times, and you even got a picture of it, don't you, Jay? So yes, I'll give you an idea of that. Next slide, please. This was one of my favorite ones that really caught my attention in the beginning. Again, it's not a heritage unit, but it's a paint scheme. We've got the 9/11 and the Veterans one here. Both, again, Norfolk Southern did. They painted these in Altoona. And these are some of my real favorite ones. I have that engine right here. Here's the actual original one. And this one is actually a bigger one. That's a SD40, I believe, and this is an Ace 70 Ace up on top there. So, you know, they did bigger engines, but they also did this, and now even CSX has done a 911 engine too.
Is that a Ferrari on the front of that horse?
Car guys, I tell you.
Yeah.
Thoroughbred. Next slide, please. There you go. This is the latest paint scheme that Norfolk Southern did, moving the weight of the world. A little controversial, I'd say, Nate, but you probably heard more about it internally in your company. And Nate, by the way, works for Norfolk Southern, full-time job. He's a railroader. and he's here tonight. And this is their latest paint scheme. It's kind of exciting. I think I like the red nose here in front, and this kind of paint scheme like this. But again, what they're doing in most of the paint schemes you see, they're recognizing somebody or doing something to achieve some kind of intention. Here, moving the way of the world. So really cool. Okay, go ahead, sir. Now, we talked about Kansas City Southern. They didn't do very much. You don't see many heritage units done by them whatsoever. But this unit they built, or painted, I should say, recognizes their Mexico side over here, and then the U.S. side over here, the bicentennial. So that was really cool. They did that engine. So next slide, please. And last but not least on these paint schemes, to get you a concept of paint schemes, is the Montana Rail Link. Again, this is a small railroad up in Montana. What they did, they said thank you to all essential workers. They painted that. And again, our famous MTH and Lionel have come out with these paint schemes on model railroads. Okay, next slide, please. All right, this is what you hear about tonight. This is my favorite slide. This is from Spencer, North Carolina. It's actually happened. All these units were there in Spencer at the Roundhouse with the Norfolk Southern engine in the middle, and it happened in 2012. And actually 2012 is when Norfolk Southern began the paint scheme program of heritage units. Does anybody know the first heritage unit they ever made?
Yeah,
Which one of these?
Conrail.
Very good, Conrail. Good for you. Got it up here. Conrail 8098. It's the first one they built right there. And in selecting those engines, that's one of the hardest ones to find also. It took me 2 years to get that, and Mickey, who used to work for me, the first one I got, he bought it. As soon as I got it, he says, I'll take that. And I thought, well, I'll get another one. It took another year to get another one. But the Conrail one was the first one, and what Norfolk Southern did, they did it in 2 different locations. Altoona was one. Where's the other place? You know where they have other ones painted? Yeah, look that one up. I'll get it, don't worry.
Wasn't that Schenectady, was it?
No, it was Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Altoona and Chattanooga, they decided the kind of engines where they painted them. And what they did was the ES-44s were all painted in Chattanooga, and the other engines they had were painted in Altoona. So they split the units they had painted. Okay, I wanted to show you my collection now. What I've got, what I've did is collect all those. These are pictures from my wall. When you look at these heritage engines, I got one up at the green with the Illinois terminal. This one up here. Again, another real hard one to find. The Virginia one was not that bad, but the Illinois terminal took me about 4 years to get that one. Go ahead. Jersey Central, pretty easy to find. Southern, real popular, especially here in the South. And if you don't know it, the Southern engine was in a wreck 2 years ago, in a landslide outside of Pittsburgh. Actually, the wall fell down on the side of the engine, pushed it off the tractor, rolled it over, and it was out of service for over a year. They repainted it. It's back again now. Go ahead, sir. Okay. Wabash and Lehigh Valley. A lot of discussion about Lehigh Valley right now. There's some model trains coming out with this paint scheme, and actually, Lehigh Valley had some other paint schemes too in their heritage that they use. So there's one organization that have 2 different Lehigh Valley engines painted, but this was the actual heritage engine that Norfolk Southern has. Go ahead, next. My favorite right here. Of course, this is the Reading, the Beehive, up here. Not too bad to find. People in Pennsylvania really like that one, of course, so it's readily available. This one was really tough, still today, and Lionel just came out with it, and I bought it right away because it probably took me 5 years to find that one. And it's up here right now, and if you touch it, I'll break your hand. Maybe by the front row. Can't touch it? No. It's really tough to find, and but I got to tell you a story about that. Russell, Mickey, and I went to Altoona for a rail fan trip weekend. And we went to Altoona's, and then in there they have the Pennsylvania Railroad Museum, which was really nice. Got to enjoy that. And after we left there, so let's go over to the Horseshoe Curve and check it out. So we get there, we pull up in the parking lot, and we look up at the top of the hill. Has anyone been there? Okay, you know, it's up on top of the hill,
Yes.
right? Well, if you don't know, that shade, that thing they used to have to go up to the top you could ride on, that's been broke for years, and they can't get the park, so you gotta walk all the way to the top. So we get to the base in the parking lot, we look up, and what's rounding the hill but the Norfolk Western Heritage engine. So here we go. We took off running. We tried to get there. But halfway up, we couldn't breathe, so we stopped. We finally got up there, the train had passed. But there was a rail fan there who videotaped the whole thing, and he sent it to us. And also, down in their gift shop, they have a camera up there, so they just rolled it back for us and showed us the actual train come around the curve. It was really cool. So we got to see that when we were there. So that was really neat. But we got a lot of fun at that trip, and if you don't know it, but in Altoona, there's a big candy factory we checked out too the next day, so we got to see that.
Bob,
The
is
nickel plate-
that the new Legacy one?
The who?
The one on the table, is that the new Legacy one from Lionel?
No. No. Dylan, stand up, Dylan, recognize you. But Dylan Rivers, he's here tonight, our guest tonight, glad to have you, buddy. He's a Lionel guy. Do you notice this question? Is that the new one from Lionel? No, it's MTH. What does Lionel do? Since you're a Lionel guy, what do they do on all their engines?
Screw the colors up.
No, what do they do? Besides that, they make them shiny, right?
Yeah.
The Norfolk Western Heritage engine from Lionel is shiny. And I prefer the dull, you see on those, where the Lionel one is shiny, you know, it is really kind of cool, but it doesn't look realistic to me, but that's the Lionel one. But it's still Norfolk and Western, buddy. Huh? You bet. Now, back up to that one, Jay, please. If you look at this original engine that Norfolk Southern did, MTH screwed up. We talk about Lionel, but they did, this is the only one I thought they really screwed up. The Savannah and Atlanta in the original Heritage engine was gold. They did it in a muted gold. Doesn't look that good. You can see the real one back on that original picture with all of them in there. It really jumps out at you. It's gold. Nickel plate is right on target, but that one is not the best right there. Okay, sir. Next one. Penn Central, Lackawanna on the bottom. Go ahead, sir. Norfolk Southern. Now, do anyone know the story of this particular engine? Now, you Norfolk Southern guys, I know you know what that means. Anybody know? Huh?
Well, that's the old Norfolk Southern around
Exactly.
North Carolina.
Exactly.
Up to, I think.
Very good.
Norfolk.
Right. What is the Norfolk Southern a combination of? What two railroads combined form the Norfolk Southern? Anybody know?
Oh, the modern Norfolk.
The modern one,
Yeah.
Southern, Norfolk Western.
Norfolk
Norfolk Western and Southern.
Right, yeah, exactly. Those two railroads formed the Norfolk Southern, but that is the original paint scheme of the Norfolk Southern before it was merged and formed and Norfolk Southern Corporation was formed. And when that merger took place, the Southern Railroad was based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and so they took that over too. But anyway, that's the Norfolk Southern. This engine is probably the most popular one. If you try to buy Heritage engines, you'll find this one at every train show. This one's everywhere. So that was real easy to get and also very cheap.
Mike always would say, Mike Wolf always, the biggest determinant of sales is the color.
Yeah,
It's the number one determinant of sales.
That's right.
His production.
but we say in the business, color sells.
Yes.
That's right. And here's the Montehilia, and I didn't realize it, but CSX also combined with this railroad, so they'll be doing a Heritage unit with this also. Not this kind, the way they do it, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is, that railroad was broken up evidently in pieces, and Norfolk Southern and CSX both got some of it. Go ahead, next one. Okay, there's New York Central and Conrail. And Conrail, if you don't know, Conrail still exists today, and still it's talked about. So we still see Heritage units being made from it, and CSX did it also. Go ahead, Jay. The Pennsylvania and the Erie up here. This is Western Pennsylvania. This is Central Pennsylvania. A lot of Pennsylvania railroads we got in here. Go ahead, sir. Next one. This was a Duke. We've already seen that one. This one here is the Interstate. Again, a Pennsylvania railroad, a very small regional that they picked up, but it's called the Interstate. Go ahead.
Interstate's in Virginia.
What's that?
The interstate was exclusively in Virginia.
Exclusively?
Exclusively.
Where?
All the way out at that little tip.
Right.
At the very, very far west of the state.
Oh, yeah?
It's-
Bristol?
Yeah, Bristol, that kind of area. I mean,
Lee County.
yeah, very far out, kind of near where Natural Tunnel is.
Oh, yeah?
If you ever knew, that's another great Virginia Railway landmark. But yeah, it was funny because it didn't cross any state lines. So why was it interstate?
Good question, right?
So,
That was relatively hard to find also, that color scheme and that, because you notice there's nothing well, it says interstate in there, but you can't really read it in the dark. Okay, sir, go ahead. All right, now let's switch to CSX. CSX, you know, they saw what Norfolk Southern did, and that was 2012, 12 years ago, and they decided to get in on it too, so they created some. And my favorite one, of course, is right there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But they changed everything. You saw how what Norfolk Southern did, they actually created the engine itself, totally. But what CSX did, the front of it is CSX, completely. Then you had the pattern of the railroad they picked up, the heritage unit itself, with the logo on the back tail back here. And you'll see that in the video I'm going to show shortly. Okay, Jay, next one.
So Bob, instead of what they would have had on the front, they just put it on the tail?
That's right, you'll see it now. Go ahead, Jay, show the, this is about the RF&P. Does it work?
Here today in Waycross to unveil the 10th locomotive in our heritage fleet. We have the 1836. It's the RF&P Heritage Unit.
See the tail there?
RF&P was what I call a bridge line railroad that connected Richmond, Virginia to Washington, D.C. with about 113 miles of track.
So the RF&P stands for Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac.
And in 1991, CSX and RFP actually merged, and that ended the RFP after 156 years of service.
Good picture right there, wasn't it?
Heritage goes far beyond the paint, the font, the schemes. The heritage is the people that make these railroads. This one is specifically special to me because my father started his railroad career with the RF&P at Bryan Park Terminal in Richmond, Virginia in 1978.
The people who came before us, we like to honor them because without them, there would be no us.
It's a very full circle moment for me to see the RF&P Heritage Unit out on the tracks. Brings back a lot of childhood memories. Seeing this logo on shirts, trucks, trains. My whole childhood, I was proud to be a railroader son. I'm proud to be a second generation railroader. And so it just really means a lot to me to see CSX take pride in their heritage, as it is so special to me too.
and I don't know if this is official or not, Bob. I haven't heard it from any official sources, but the rumor is that the CSX Heritage Program actually came about because the
So we're here today.
the paint team in Waycross, Georgia, actually wanted to do this. And
Okay.
corporate turned to them and said, well, we'll pay for the paint, but you got to come up with the design yourself, and you got to keep the front standard for safety purposes. So I don't know if that's official or not. Also, I believe the number of every unit is the year the original railroad was founded.
It is. It is. 1896 was the other one for
I
RF&P.
think it's 1836.
Was it 36?
Yeah.
36.
All right, I'm going to show you the ones that have been done. Now, what's going on? When the program was first introduced, they said they were going to do 12. They didn't want to do 15. I think they're going to talk about 20 now. So the heritage units continue, CSX, and they keep coming out with them. But right now, on the ground, there's 15. Okay, here's the Baltimore, Ohio. Okay, Jay, next please. RF&B, we've seen that one. 1836, very good. The Chessie. Nice Chessie colors there, the yellow and the red. It looks like they're engines, if you remember that. Okay. Seaboard System. Go ahead, sir. Here's Conrail again, Conrail Quality. That logo on the front of that engine. Okay, on the back of that engine, I mean. Chesapeake and Ohio, CNO. Okay, go ahead. L&N, Atlantic coastline, and if you hold it right there, Jay, the Atlantic coastline actually, as Jacob talked about, was kind of the beginning of the idea of this down in Waycross, Georgia, where the Atlantic coastline was based. So that's where it got kicked off and started talking about doing heritage units. But the Atlantic coastline was one of the ones in the initial paint jobs that came out. Okay, so go ahead, next one. New York Central. Now, you saw the RFP and you saw the New York Central, and in the past year they were both together, running in tandem, and they had an accident and both were messed up. So they had to be repainted already. So that's what goes on with these heritage units. So they've already had an accident and messed up. All right, sir, move on. Wood, okay? Midwest, go ahead. And here, Seaboard Coastline and LNN. This is the family line that was combined. Again, so you see all these different combinations and mergers that they pick up as they go along. But each time they create different logos and different colors. So here you go again. Okay, sir. Next. One of the prettiest, I think, heritage units there are is Western Maryland with the red and white. Have you ever seen some of the steam engines and the diesels that they have out there? They're just beautiful with that color combination. Okay, sir. Next. Premier Marquette, if you remember what the C&O looked like, very similar. They were very similar. Railroads worked together a lot, and their logos looked a lot like their engines were painted very similar. So the logo looks very similar there too. Okay, sir. And here, the Seaboard Coastline, another one from the side view. I'll give you an idea of it. Go ahead, sir. Pittsburgh and Lake Erie, and this is in western Pennsylvania, of course, and that's the last one that we have records of right now that has been done, the P&LE. Okay, sir, next. All right, moving along to the third major Class 1 railroad we talked about earlier is the UP. UP has done heritage units for many years, but they don't call them heritage units, they call them commemorative units, and we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But this is what MTH did about 10 years ago. They came out with all 7 of these. These are the heritage units that they actually have. This one, you can see that big flag. This is the typical logo they had and the engine they ran, but that was considered a heritage unit, the 8444. But not really, to me, a heritage unit. It's just a typical UP engine, but that's part of their heritage system, as they call it. So I look at these 6 down here as the real key ones. What do you think is the most popular one of those 6?
Southern Pacific.
So how's this one to get?
Southern Pacific.
Down here?
Right.
No, sir.
Katie.
Yes. If you try to buy one of these, the most expensive one, if you can find one, is here. I've had 2 in the past 6 months to sell on eBay, sold in 24 hours. Just like that. Just name my price, and it was sold. And I've got my own, but you know, it's a situation where that's the most popular one. Anybody know what a Katy is?
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas, Texas Railroad,
Yeah,
ran
right.
those things.
And if Russell was here, he used to run right by his house, the Katy. So he's a real big Katy fan. And our good friend, the Train Loft down in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, he just did a 5-car Atlas set of passenger cars, Katy cars, to match the engine. So of course I couldn't resist, I had to buy them. So I got that to run with my engine. Plus, what MTH did with all these engines is create passenger cars to go with them, along with freight cars, same color. So here's the Chicago Northwestern. This is Missouri Pacific right here. So, and again, if we're looking at rarity and hard to get, of course this one's the easiest one to get, and the Katy is the hardest one to get. And people have come to my house and said, boy, I really like that Katy engine, I want to get one. And they try to buy one, and you wait and wait and wait. It might take you a year, 2 years to get it, but you'll probably get it in time if you have patience. But the Katy is definitely the most rare of all those. Probably the second most popular one is the Chicago Northwestern of those. Okay, Jay, if you would.
How much is yours, Bob?
How much is mine?
Yeah.
The set I bought came with the boxcar and the caboose. The caboose is over $100, just for the caboose itself. So it's about $700 for the engine, boxcar, and caboose.
So that's what you're selling for today?
I selected more than that. It was brand new, brand new.
Do those engines, because I'm stuck in a different world.
I know you are.
Do those
It's okay.
do those talk to you and all kinds of
You run them on your cell phone?
Yeah. ZW for me.
That's right.
All the way.
CW all the way, right? Those standard gauge folks, what can you do with it, right? Going back to, I told you about what UP did. So UP's done this for many, many, many years, but the thing they do more of is these community service locomotives, like the Union Pacific right here that's camouflaged. But this one, obviously, represents breast cancer awareness, and they did that on the locomotive right here, big pink ribbon. Okay, Jay, next one. Unknown caller. Here's the Union Pacific. This was done during Desert Storm in the late 90s. They ran that one. Okay, Jay, got that one up here for you to look at. This one is really cool. If there's one of the engines that you ever want to look at purchasing if you get into modern trains, and this one has George Bush Jr. doing all the talking. 10 different things. He talks about his father, about how he remembers his dad and everything, and it's really cool to listen to it. When you run it, it's one of the best engines that are out there. So if you're like me, you're going to have. I have 2 of these, but you don't need 2. But you at least need one of them because they're really great and what they talk about. So it's really exciting to have that. Okay. Now, again, see, this is what Union Pacific is doing, not focusing on so much heritage units, but doing more with recognizing things that are about people. This says, powered by our people, meaning this is represent Union Pacific employees right here. This engine is on my wall, really looks cool, really looks nice. They have the caboose to go with it, but again, look at the wings in the front. That's their old logo out in front here, but a lot of color and really attractive. Okay, sir. This one is the newest one they did, and what do you think that means? Anybody have any idea what that would mean? 1, diversity and inclusion. And of course, UP being the largest Class 1 railroad in the country, formed 157 years ago by Abraham Lincoln, they did this paint job. And Atlas is coming out with this one. I got it on order through the store, by the way, so when you see it come in, please grab it for me. It's really cool. All the colors, the front, look at the front here, the color here, in the back, and the sides, a lot of color. So it's really going to look neat. So I'm excited to get that one in my collection next. Okay, Jay, one more, please. All right, now, the question for the group tonight is, what's the most popular heritage unit ever made? And I know you all know it, but you probably not know it's the most popular one. What do you think it is? Anybody? Cindy, what do you think?
1776.
1776, one guess, okay. Dylan, no?
I mean, I love that engine. I don't think it's the most popular, but I love that engine.
Okay. Eddie, what do you think? I know you all know it. You all know it. What do you think? Don't know. Nobody knows that. Have any idea? Lucas, what do you think? I know
Have you already covered it?
What's that?
Has it already been
No,
covered?
I have not. I have not.
So it hasn't been
The
seen
best
here
for
yet.
last.
Okay.
The best for last. All right. We gotta show it to them. You knew it, didn't you? You knew it, didn't you? Sure. Okay, next slide, please. Here's another shot of it, the 4014, the most popular one. And now I've got a video to show you and tell you all about it. So, Jay, if you would, we'll close it down with this last video.
Think about the moment of the driving of the Golden Spike 157 years ago. And that's a piece of American history and a piece of Union Pacific history. And so when it came time to decide what we're going to do big, to celebrate a big anniversary, what more are you going to do than bring back and refurbish this big boy locomotive?
There's no store where you can go buy 4014 locomotive parts. They had to do it all from scratch. We've rebuilt it over the last 4 or 5 years, all 1.2 million pounds of this awesome piece of machinery.
It really is a tribute to the just intrepid nature of our nation and Americans generally, that they take on obstacles and move forward regardless of the challenges.
We wouldn't be Cheyenne without the Union Pacific. We love the Union Pacific. We've had such a long-standing partnership and relationship. It's family. The crowds are amazing. There are are lined up all up and down the tracks.
As we break 4014 in across the trip from Cheyenne to Ogden the next few days, we're getting ready for a long trip around our UP system all summer long. So the big boy will be coming to a town near you, your Union Pacific system, this summer.
It's the largest steam locomotive in the world, and it's been taking our guests over Sherman Hill today. We do have the Beatles here today. We have the Beetle equivalent in the railroad world. The 4014 big boy steam locomotive. There's nothing else like it.
You think about the history of rail in the United States, this is a key part of that history. And by having it travel our Union Pacific system this year and years to come, it just teaches that history lesson once again. The role that railroads played in building America, and particularly the role that Union Pacific played.
That's it. I want to close with just some more information about the big boy. You know what year it was built? Anybody have an idea when it first came out? There was 25 engines built that year.
The first one came out in 1941.
Correct. Remember, 1941, 25 of them. And if you saw that video and watched the steam coming out, your Lionel engines today that cost $3,000 a piece have whistle steam and blow down steam. You see the whistle steam come up the top, blow down steam at the bottom? That's what the new engines do. It's really, really cool to see the new engines do that.
I do know.
Teddy, I don't think they got that
He's got one.
page yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. They're working on it though. They're working on it. So that engine has run the Midwest all summer. Last December, no, not December, it's about November of 2023, I went out to Colorado and went to a train show out there, and they had the Union Pacific people there. These people are impressive. They gave a presentation, and they had pieces of the 4014. They had actually that medallion on the table to look at, and they showed you all the parts that they manufactured and talked about. But one question they asked the audience, and only one person got it right. When they built the 4014 and they got it out, how long do you think it went? How many miles did it go before it broke down, do you think? Before it broke down the first time? Because they had a train following to fix it. And how long do you think it took? 5 miles. It broke down. So they really had a tough time with it. But really interesting. The presentation was one of the best I've ever seen. And these people that are involved with the 4014 are really energized. So that's all great. Okay, folks, that's all I have. Any questions? Be glad to answer for you. Want to shut the if you can?
No, I'll show our crowd.